A doctor in Miami was handcuffed right in front of his own home as he was loading medical supplies onto the back of a van. Now, I found out about this story through the reporting over at Democracy Now! Let's take a look at the details of the story.
The police department is under fire after a video surfaced of an officer handcuffing and detaining an African-American doctor outside his home on Friday. The man, Armen Henderson, was wearing a mask and preparing for a volunteer shift, helping protect homeless people from the spread of COVID-19 when a patrol car pulled up to his home. Surveillance video from Dr. Henderson's house shows him loading a van with supplies before the encounter. Dr. Henderson says the police officer handcuffed him after accusing him of littering and then asking for identification, which Henderson did not have on him. The officer was not wearing a mask. Dr. Henderson was. He had to yell to his wife inside their home to present identification before the officer finally released him.
Yeah, I mean, just to add insult to injury, the cop isn't even wearing anything on his face to prevent the spread of the virus if he's infected himself.
The police department is saying it was a legitimate thing to pursue, but they're looking into whether the police officer acted appropriately once he got there. So apparently neighbors had complained about trash, and then he saw things that were in the yard that looked like trash. Okay, I actually think that's a fair beginning to the story. In some of those articles, if you don't watch the video, they say that Dr. Henderson was wearing a mask. And so that might get you to think like, maybe that's, that drew the suspicion of the police officer. First of all, everybody's wearing masks. But most importantly, as you saw in the video, he's wearing a medical type mask. So yeah, that's the most benign thing you could possibly imagine in the middle of coronavirus. But once you get there and the guy says, I'm a doctor, I mean, it's not a catch-all thing. It's not a get out of jail free card. Some people could lie and not be a doctor. But he's in front of his house. It doesn't look like the homeowners, if you believe he's not the homeowner, is bothered by it. I mean, he's laid out all of these things in the yard. There's so many context clues that gets you to think maybe he owns the house. Maybe he's not lying when he says he's a doctor.
Well, I think it's also important to hear from him because he was interviewed, and I want you to pay close attention to what the cop apparently accused him of, because that's important.
He pulled up next to me, questioning me if I lived there, if I worked here. I told him that I lived there. I told him what I was doing. I told him that, where I was putting the boxes was where the city of Miami comes to pick up our trash every week. For example, they're here this week, and people on my block are putting trash in the same place that I put the boxes, on Friday. And he just, at some point, he just didn't believe what I was saying, or he thought that I was being disrespectful, and decided to get out of the car and escalate the situation. Once he got out of the car, go ahead.
Keep going.
Once he got out of the car, he asked me for ID, which I said I didn't have. And, I was trying my best to keep cool during the situation and, remain steadfast on what I was doing, which was to be, at downtown Miami delivering food and tents to homeless individuals that live downtown. And so I pretty much went ahead and continued to do what I was going to do because I didn't know where this encounter was going. And then he just decided to put cuffs on me, basically. Once he put cuffs on me, I called for my wife. She came out and pretty much de-escalated the situation. But even before she came, he was like inches from my face, basically yelling that I should call him sergeant, I should call him sir. And with no mask on, he had no gloves on. I could feel his saliva on my lips. It was just a crazy encounter.
He was accused of disrespecting the police officer.
How many times have I said it on the show, Anna? Biggest crime in America is disrespecting a police officer. It's not in any legal book. It's not an actual crime, but that's the #1 reason that the cops will harass you, arrest you, handcuff you, you name it. Why is the cop said, you're not respecting me, and that's why he put the cuffs on him. That's not a crime. Well, you don't put handcuffs on someone because they didn't call you sir or sergeant. And the reality is he thinks, who is this black guy to not call me sir? You think that if he was in Beverly Hills and a white guy told him, hey, I'm a doctor, he'd go and handcuff him and say, how dare you not call me sir? No one in America believes that. You all know he wouldn't do that to somebody in Beverly Hills. And so, look, this is what black folks have to deal with every day in America. So that guy's a doctor. He still has to deal with it. He still gets handcuffed. Story that Jamal Bowman wrote really shook me. He's running for Congress in New York. You should check him out. He's a wonderful progressive and a just Democrat. He set up a middle school. He's the principal of. He's done amazing work. He's a respected educator in New York. And he said, yeah, during stop and frisk, I'd get pulled over, arrested for no reason, handcuffed, sent to jail, sent to sit on the floor with urine all over the floor. He's the principal of a school, but he's black. And so if you haven't lived through these indignities, please at least have the decency to empathize.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.